hope everyone can hear me. I'm somewhat tired because I was able to go to bed only at 3:30 this morning. We have been working a lot and trying to make things work. He said one thing, which I will say in German because we are here. He said, Freiheit erlangt man nur, indem man sein Leben aufs Spiel setzt. It is solely by risking life that freedom is achieved. And there are some things that concern him that he doesn't even remember, that he doesn't even think of. And there are some things that he cannot even say about himself. But before I talk about the book and how we have struggled to raise funds for our liberation, I want to point to a few things which have enabled me to confirm a man's vision for the freedom of his people. Yes, Honorable, you can sit down. I'll make it short. A few things which I want to mention that have enabled me to confirm a man's vision for the freedom. When Honorable Wirba spoke in the Kangaroo Parliament of French Cameroon in 2016, that was in December, I think every Southern Cameroonian shared that vision. Every Southern Cameroonian saw that there was someone talking on their behalf, and I was not left out. Someone talking against the oppressive system which has been imposed on us by French Cameroon and their masters. And I contacted him. I told him that, Honorable, if you would keep your integrity, because we know that politicians can easily be corrupted. I told him that if you will keep your integrity, you have my support. That was in 2016. And from that time, we began walking a long road to where we are today. The time came when the oppressor began arresting leaders. We had some of them who were arrested in January 2017, and we got clear indications that he was going to be arrested at the same time with Paul Abine. There were very clear indications. And I told him, I said, Honorable, you cannot sit there. You have to get to safety. And he said, no, Mofo, I'm not going anywhere. I'm going to sit here in Jakiri because this fight must continue and I want to fight from within. And I was here and I kept on seeing the things I see sometimes. And I insisted to him that you have to go for safety. And he refused. The time came when there were serious threats on his life, very serious threats. And to be honest, I had to push him and say, Honorable, this is where you are going. And as he said, he had to get himself to safety, and that is where I would like to leave that one there. But when he went to Nigeria finally, when it was clear that they will pick him up, threats on his life to kill him, while he was in Nigeria, it was around January to March, around that period, he kept on seeing how the revolution was evolving and was very worried. I was constantly in contact with him. He was extremely worried. And he said he wants to come back. I said, Honorable, you have to wait. He said, no, Mofo, I have to come back. I have to go to that parliament and keep up this fight. And when I saw that he had insisted, we had to walk the way for him to come back to the parliament. That is when he came back to the parliament in June 2017, taking the risk, although he knew that there were already clear threats on his life. And when he came there, my heart was always beating because I knew what was happening. This one takes me to the next stage where I saw someone very determined to fight for the freedom of his people. And while he was in ground one in Nigeria, the time came when our brothers were picked up at the Nera Hotel. I was the one who told him that our brothers were picked up at Nera Hotel. And he was shocked, and he really lamented, and he couldn't even hold himself. Then we saw that it had become very dangerous, even for him in Nigeria, in round one. And we had to look for ways to take him out of there. And that is how he finally found himself in the UK. The time in the UK has been extremely difficult for him. Imagine someone of his, let's say of his caliber, who comes to a foreign nation to seek for protection and is left there without any support from the system. He abandoned everything at home. And the first time he ran away for his safety, he left a child that was 8 months old. I was in Jakiri 2017 and I saw that child. And he living in the UK for 3 years without support and surviving merely through the goodwill of friends. And we got messages coming, people telling him that, Honorable Wirba, you have to come out and take over this revolution. Honorable Wirba, you have to take your place in this revolution. You have to come out and say something. When things were happening, we received countless requests for him to get active in public. And the thing he kept on telling us, when I say us, I mean the group of people in the team around him. He kept on telling us that, Mofo, he told the team that we would get to work when we would have been able to raise $100,000 for the sake of our people's liberation. And obviously, I also understood that he would be able to do the kind of contribution that he would want to do. Because, it's not like he was just silent. As he said, we were doing a lot of things, and we don't need to come to the public to explain the way we do our revolutionary work. So long as we knew that we were doing all of that in the interest of Ambazonia, we kept on doing that, and only the results should speak for Ambazonia, not even for us. Then, so it was obvious that when he would be able to move, then his contribution would definitely become, let's say, more intensified. And then we were writing these letters that he said, we will send these letters to some people and explain to them. They will sign these books and they gave donations. And those donations, we kept on, gathering this money. So the first thing is that first condition, that he should be able to move. And today, he is here after going through a very hard asylum process, very unconventional asylum process, but finally he is here as a free man and he is able to move all over. Then the other thing he said was that, told the team that we would have to see that an account be opened in a different country where all this money which is coming in through the letters we were writing and the books that we were sending to people whom we consider donors or potential donors. The one thing he does not like is for us to go asking people to come and give money to go and do revolution, as he said. And so finally, we came to the stage that an account was opened in a foreign country, and 2 ladies and 1 gentleman are the ones who are signatory to that account. And one thing he told me particularly is that, Mofo, I will not want you to be signatory to that account, because he thought that with my nature, if there are some difficulties, it might lead us to let's say, I may pity him and, use some of the money for the things that were standing in front of us, really, really difficult things. And one thing he also mentioned is that for the kind of things that we need to do for this liberation, a liberator does not need to have access to money. And that is something about honesty. And then, finally, we got the $100,000 that he was talking about. And we had started doing the things we had to do to make our struggle progress. 3 things in our focus. Next page. Refugee Children's Relief Service, Prisoners Relief Assistance, and Desperate Human Needs. This is the focus, and I'm sure he will say a bit more. And all of this work is already ongoing, and this is what we want to report to you also today. I need to add that when the signing of the book had reached $70,000, Hon Wirba and all of us were facing real financial challenges because he had got accrued rents that were not paid. And I told him that, Honorable, we have these accrued rents for several months now. Why can't we borrow some money from the $70,000 and pay these rents? Then we will repay the money to these funds. And Honorable became very mad at me. He was so angry. He said, Mofo, do you realize that you are asking us to borrow money which is intended for those children, those mothers who are in refugee camps in round 1, or those who are suffering, prisoners who have not committed any crime and are in the dungeons of our oppressor? Do you realize that this is what you are asking me to do? And then I closed my door that day in the office and I lamented. And I told myself that if one man can go this extent to sacrifice for the freedom of his people, and keeping in mind that freedom can be achieved only when people risk their lives, then I said that I would be able to risk my own life by fighting at his side. So, fellow brothers and sisters, Hon Wirba's vision is something which I have been able to confirm with the kind of things that I have explained to you, and there are many more which I cannot explain today. So there is just a little thing here which we would like to share with you. Honorable, maybe you want to come up and then we move through the slides. So thank you very much for your attention.
I I appreciate you, my dear brother Mofo. I appreciate it very, very much. My dear brothers and sisters, revolutions, people who want freedom, do it on belief. And the belief has to be so strong that you can give everything you have. If you are not there yet, if you are not at that stage, forget it. Forget it. You give your all. I am sure for many people, as Mofo even forgot that the last 25,000 came in from 2 donors, from 2 books. That makes it $125,000. I am sure, I mean, this is not being insulting to anybody. I am sure that I have been reminding the diaspora that some of the things I hear from you who are claiming to be leading the revolution, who are claiming to be liberators, they shock me because some of you act, I keep reminding you, you keep acting as if you left home to go to the diaspora to come back and save us. It's a lie. You did not. You left home because you couldn't stand oppression. You left home because you wanted something better for yourself. And those of us who were walking the mud and drinking palm tree and eating achu and kwakuku Bible, we definitely would know a thing or two about oppression that you do not know. No matter how intelligent you are. No matter how intelligent you are. So you have to learn to give your all. Here we are going to do a quick rundown. And before we start, you can see a title there, Lead Givers International. It's a formation I came up with and invited some good ladies and gentlemen of the Southern Cameroons to join me. So we are in the process of doing registration with the Charities Commission in the UK so that we can turn this into something that can give a sustainable system that can assist our people. That can assist our people who are in need. In that method, if we go down that road, it is very easy for us to put together the things that can solve the problems we have. And as Mofo reminded you, I keep telling him, I could shout at you, Mofo. I'm not sorry for it, because the reason I was saying do an account in a foreign country was for one simple reason. I know money better than most. I have earned quite a lot of it and spent it on humanity, because I ran a charity myself that took care of all sorts of little things that people struggle with in the village. And my focus usually was women and children. So in doing the things that I do in my life, I've been telling people that my values, my highest values, are human. My values are not economic. I have no value for money, because money is just paper, and it has no use until a human being who does not have it is saved by it. That money has no use. So I am here today to tell you, Ambazonians, that the heritage of the Ambazonian nation will be your children. And your children's heritage will not be the bank accounts you are keeping in Berlin, Manchester, New York City, and Hong Kong. It will never be. People's heritage is a homeland. Whatever you have there belongs to that nation that borrowed you from Amazonia. Finish. Whatever you have there has no meaning. So until we reach a stage when you take that all and say, my children and their own children must have a homeland, your money is nothing. Wood ash is better because if you take a make a soup. So let's begin and show you a few things. Now, this is the team that we've been able to create on the ground in Nigeria to help us. It is made up of both Ambazonians and friendly Nigerians who have been very, very useful. As Mofo was saying, every time I'm talking to you people, this young lady, she's Nigerian. This is one of our brothers with whom she's collaborated. The rest of this team are the people who've been working relentlessly to give us the statistics of what is happening in the refugee camps. That's why I told you that I needed to be telling you the power of doing work with your mouth shut. And I'm here today to tell Ambazonians, if you don't shut your mouths and shut some of those your forums where you have decided that your own freedom will come through the forums and the fora and everything you are forming. If you don't shut them down, you and your children will remain slaves of the Republic forever. If you don't shut them down and begin work, and it is the kind of work that nobody should know about until the job is done. So we have this wonderful team, more for which. So what we did first was, we are running a program in which, for the Children's Relief Service, we provided 25 tons of food, 25 tons of food, which we selected that we would give it only to young children between the ages of 2 and 14. By the time we finish the presentation, you will see the portion of money we put away to this was 30 million CFA. And we've rented these warehouses. We are hoping that if we have people who can see this vision, we could make this sustainable by keeping those shops permanently and then stocking up the foods that can assist those people. Some of the Nigerian officers will be talking here to you. What we are doing means to those your people, whom you can easily sit here and relax and talk about, oh, you know, we hear they are suffering. Okay, you know, they are in refugee camps. Okay, that is not how it works. We have to have a direct touch with humanity. Because the reason I've been insisting on my values is because I will fight for you and everybody else with my last breath. But I will never fight with anybody over a 10 euro bill. Never. You take it from me. I'll give it to you. If it's $1 million, you take it. I'll never fight for it. I'll never. But I will fight to protect a child with my neck. That is me. And anyone who stands up to talk about liberation, if we do not create a country for the unfortunate, what country are we building? What country are we building? You build a country that protects those who have nothing. You build a country that protects the unfortunate, the old, the children, the sick. You cannot build a country in which you will just group your friends like you do around here. Just group your friends and say, as I was coming here today, by the way, it's a distraction. Oh, the fear was, you know, Wirba is coming to form another government. He's trying to overthrow all the other governments. And I'm saying, you fly a kite and think Wirba can ride it for an airplane? I don't do stuff like that. I don't. And I will never, if you go back to my history, find out from the SDF, The people who fought in the streets in the 90s to make the SDF stand, I am one of them. I don't know how I survived it, but I'm here. Why? Because I believed in freedom. And for all that fighting, I sat back and was campaigning for people and sending them to parliament for 20 years. I didn't ask for a seat. But when I go to a state where I discover that these guys are just going, they come back and tell me stories of champagne parties when your people are suffering, I said, okay, it is time for me to go. And when I was going, I told them from my constituency, I said, I want to go to this place and change how politics is done. And they said, what are you talking about? What can you change? When my day came, you saw it. Now there is a chance I could have another day to take back our stolen country. I will give my neck to take it. I will give my neck to take it. So that those of you whose business is running government, running administrations, running all of those things, if that is your own business that you find fun with in your life, you can stay behind and work on our blood, including those we're honoring here, and go take, go be anything you want. I don't give a damn. So I will never fight or contest with anybody about having a certain advantage or having a certain position or having a certain power. What are you doing with it? What are you doing with it? It is work, hard work. The job of liberation is tough. It's tough work. There's been more talking from the people who define that they are leaders because there's little work they are doing. If you are doing the hard work, nobody hears you. Nobody. If you sit for 8 hours, 9, working out strategies on what you do when you see children crying helpless, some crawling, because they just want 1 cup of rice. If you are worrying about things like that, you would not have time to be talking about those things. You wouldn't. So, Dr. Mofo, oh, sorry, sir. So, this is part of what that team was doing. And you can see how they had to set these things up, package them, and then take them in little bags to give these children. And by the way, we have, as we speak, 135,000 people in refugee camps all over Nigeria. And what we made provision for, we only went to 5 of the over 25 settlements where we have refugees. 5. And you put down 25 tons of food, you see the little bag your daughter is taking home. Because between them, we did this service to 7,000 children. 7,000. All right. Now, these are the refugee camps that we are working with. You can see there, Adagom 1, Adagom 3, Okende, Bokim Waterfall, and Ikom. These are in the Ogoja area, which I had frequented a lot when I was hiding out in Nigeria. And in my usual style, I will do those things, examining them and doing research, because I think it is beneficial. It is not for you to know. When there is something you, as a people, need to know, I put something on the table. That is why when I tell Mofo and the team that I don't make promises and I don't take them. If there is something you cannot do for me, tell me, Wirba, I'm sorry, I cannot do this. Because that's what I will tell you, rather than, just begin to go. We will do something. What is the name of something? What is something? Something is as good as nothing. It's as good as nothing. So, so these are our 2 key partners who are looking after these children. And look at the crowds you see there. Look at the crowds you see there. These Ambazonia, these are your children. These are your children. You can see the misery. You can see the excitement. for a few cups of rice. And we are talking about looking for freedom. Now, there is a little story about this little boy. About this little boy sitting down here. You can see him. All right. You can see the little girl looking at him because the little guy is crying. They had come there very early in order to take the front line. And the little boy was crying and saying that they hope that, they will come and get the food early because their mama is sick. They wanted to go back and cook something to give her. And he cried and went on the floor because he could no longer support himself. These are the stories of your nation. And you in the diaspora think that by the time you would have formed the 900th government, you will go and get freedom. It's a lie. It's a lie. So, these are your children. First, the organizers, they bring them, they register them, they line them up. We even had to go as far as looking for indelible ink to put in their fingers. Because they are so desperate, some take the food, run very quickly, hide it, and crawl from under the heads and come back and say, I have not had it yet. And you cannot blame the poor children. You cannot blame them. All right, bro. Now, look at this child. Look at the despondence on his face. It's a whole bucket he's carrying. Maybe to come and take 5 cups of rice or 6. These are your children. Because if you do not have the feeling that someone else's child, you can treat them like yours. What are you freeing the country for? You freeing the country because you want to be president? Really? You want a free country because you want to be a minister? That's your reason. Then you have no reason at all. One of the things I want to let you people know is I am looking at these children and I'm asking myself, the dangerous things I've done in my life. And I'll tell you an anecdote. My old mother is 87. She's still alive. I spoke to her this morning and I said, what drove me from home is bringing me to Germany to begin the process of seeing how we can take back this stolen country that we had. And I'm calling you like the God that I know to bless me. Because the dangerous things I've done in my life, she has known them. And she knows that I'm a daring child. Sometimes I feel sorry for her. But there's nothing I can do. Because there is something that eats you up about oppression, that your soul is restless. Your soul is restless. So, I remember him. It is rare, especially in a culture, the warrior culture of sort like mine. I told my mom I wanted to get married when I was 24 years old. And she said, oh no, boy, it's too early. Come on. A man should grow up, you are just about to have a job, get the job, build this, do this, and then get married. I said, Mom, there's something in my heart. And she said, what is it, my son? And I told her, I don't know how you are going to feel about this. The things that go through my mind about how our people are treated in this country, I think this government will kill me before I get to have an offspring. So I want to marry early so that if they kill me sooner, there could be one child left behind who could bear my name. And she wept. And they said, all right, I understand. Now, I am connecting these stories to you so that you know what drives someone to do certain things. What drives you to do certain things? I was quoting to you, Hegel, from here, things that I learned in high school in 1980. I did not know that that is how my life had been charted out. But when I see this, especially this particular picture, no, can we have it back? Yeah, these 2 children from the same family. The story was told us. What I want to call, you can see the level of despondence. You can see A grown-up child with a little sister sucking his, that is a sign that he is not a well-balanced child. He's unhappy, he's miserable. That's a source of comfort for people who know a little bit of child psychology. Because at that age, he should not be doing it. It is the desperation. Now, you have the genius sister. And that is where I want to call your attention, and I was honoring the women of Ambazonia. You can see that the bigger man, who's his brother, has no bag. It is the woman carrying it. That is the responsibility our women carry throughout their lives, even from this age. Even from this age. And we are talking about freedom, and you cannot see this. And the 200 governments we have formed on the internet, they cannot give us statistics and show us where these children are lying. Then when we get Ambazonia, what would it be? A country for you and your strong friends who fought by you and promoted you and did propaganda on your behalf. Nothing doing. We will get a free country for people like this. These people have to go back home. They have to go back to their homeland in a free country. Now, there is this picture of, this is the most beautiful picture that came back from Nigeria. And I saw these two sweet little ones with the tropical sunshine, and they were telling me they couldn't even see well. And she was asking the young lady, asking her, Blessing is the lady's name who's been helping us. They're asking her, because they cannot see well what's in there, said, is some of the food cooked because they want to be eating? He said, no, you have to take it home because they can't see it. All right? So these are your children, Ambazonia. Before you talk freedom, talk humanity. So this is how we went. This is how the promotion was done. Little kids. This little child gave us a remarkable picture. Look at those eyes, blank, a blank face, hopeless, helpless, needy. And if you look at those jaws, they are not a sign of being fully fed. They are a sign of malnutrition for people who know it. They are a sign that any kind of carbohydrate that comes is just swallowed. Ambazonia, these are your children. Anyone who doesn't talk in these terms, don't talk to me. Don't talk to me. Now, this is one. This little boy, they are one of those who came. Can you look at his blank face? Can you look at the hopelessness? And they are waiting in line. People are screaming. As young as he is, he doesn't have enough energy to keep standing on that line to wait for the food to take home. These are your children. All right. Now, do we have one of those videos that you have? All right. I just want you to appreciate that crowd. Sorry? Yeah, there's a little, it's not much, but it's just for them to see, Look at the place. Look at the thousands of children who are yours. Now, these are things we need to know. These are things you need to look at. These are things you need to understand. And will you please follow up? Ambazonia, this is your story. This is your story. This is the story of your children. All right. Ambazonia, that is your story. That is your story. And it shocks me that for people who should first of all know better, having left a backward civilization in Africa, coming out into the West, that we cannot do better than we are doing. It's a shame. It's a shame. That's why I kept saying, if we believe in freedom, we need to start doing things differently and thinking differently. It needs a total mind shift. So that said, we needed for you to, I'm sure we are through with this, Dr. Mufo. Thank you very much. So that is what is happening to your children in those refugee camps. Then the other relief formula is the one that we put together for those whose liberty have been deprived, for those prisoners without a crime. So we've set another little team. The people live in different countries. We have left 15 million CFA at their disposal because lots and lots of times I hear stories of children dying in a prison cell because a child had a hernia that needed 45,000 CFA and it wasn't there and the guy died. Someone who was standing to defend his nation and protect it from the thief is dying because of 45,000. It's a shame. It is shocking. And you people are running in circles abroad, describing impossible things. Where is a nation without its children? What nation are we building? So, thank you very much. Shall we proceed? Yes. This is rather heartbreaking, but we have to follow that. Now, I will give you the reason I am here. This was just an update. The real business of what we need to be doing and where we need to go will begin when today's meeting ends. Well, a lot of people have been struggling to introduce me, but I would like to say something about me. That my names are Wirba Joseph Mbizunyu. I believe in freedom. I am hard-headed. That one I know. I fight very hard for the things I believe, especially if those things have to come with protecting humanity. The things you are going to be hearing from me this evening might not be the things you were expecting. Because I was coming here, people are calling, they are writing, they are, Wirba is coming to form a government. Oh, please call for this unity. Oh, please call for this and that. And I am asking, where do you think I have the power to call anybody to do anything? I don't have it. I don't have the power. It's a presumption. I don't have it. I don't have it. Number one, anyone who wants freedom for his nation, there are things you cannot do. There are things you stop yourself from doing. There are things you must not do or never do. We cannot be talking about wanting to free our homeland, and then people are worried about where will I be sitting when the homeland comes to us? My God. Where will I be when it happens? First, I consider, first of all, that somebody like me, from the things I have done with my life in fighting the oppressive system, I don't think that I will be alive. I don't think. But in a rare situation where God who gives life permits it, I will fight for it and enjoy it with the last 3 people I promised La République, that when they would have taken down from the 8 million, when we have taken down 7,997,000 people, the last 3 people will live in a free country called Ambazonia. I can tell you that. The last 3. Now, I am here for one main reason: to bring you, Ambazonian people, the truths that you are hiding from, you are avoiding, in order to be convenient, in order to be comfortable. I'm bringing those truths to you today, naked and bare. I don't know what anybody feels about the truth. It is your problem. As long as it is the truth, I stand by it. And I will stand by the truth even alone. I have the fortune that I know that when you are dying, my grandfather taught me, as a warrior, when you are dying, you cannot take your children with you. I know that. That is why for most fights, when I look around and I realize I might not have someone to back me up, I go with my head. Alone. I go alone. The things you are seeing here, the warning I gave in 2019. And I told you that I was seeing a chance of a failed revolution. And if you guys continue this way, I would leave it to you because I have other things to do with my life. These are the things I'm talking about. If I were to spend the rest of my life doing just this for these people, my life is fulfilled. If I were to leave this struggle where it is, The little I have done will go into Ambazonian history, that there was one man who said no. So those truths are simple. First, basically, I am here today to tell you all sometimes you almost get emotional thinking about these things and what is happening to your people. Sometimes you just feel like crying. It's very painful. I am here to make the final wake-up call to Amazonian. This is your final wake-up call. If you fail to heed it, blame yourself for the rest of your life. In the history of every nation, there are men and women who are tasked with the misfortune to always be able to figure out what might happen around the bend. And they always caution others. And the others never do what? They never listen. As we speak, La République would wish, while I was still in parliament, they could have started something to say, you see, we didn't understand this, you know. No, you are not our slave. We wanted this to be better. If we made a mistake, let's begin the process. They would wish, but it's too late now. The people have risen. Like I told them. And once the first gun was fired, I told them this country is gone. The Cameroon, you know, is finished. There will be a neighboring state to the west of La République to Cameroon called Ambazonia. It is your last wake-up call to remind you that you have been going down the wrong road for too long. And I have kept reminding you that this is not the road to freedom. Because the road to freedom is rugged. It is cruel. It's daring. It's a devilish road. Whoever is not ready, just remain and be a slave. Don't try. So it's your last wake-up call. Please pay attention. The number of people who have changed the history of most countries is never a crowd. It's usually a handful of people. So in the second place, my being here today is to remind you that the goal for total freedom of Ambazonia is within your reach. It is there for you to take. I see it very clearly. If you squander your chance, it goes for good. It's a warning. It is there for you. Take it or leave it. Then I'm also here to reassure the international community that Ambazonia is better than the one they have come in contact with on Facebook. Ambazonia is better than that. Ambazonia is better than that. I want to reassure them that we can do better and we will do better, and we have the men and women who can commit to the cause of liberation for their nation. We have them. There's no doubt about it. We have them. That reassurance is because, as I said here from the beginning of this conversation, whoever does not believe in Ambazonian freedom, don't sit in this room. Do not. That is why when I heard that people were asking for invitations, that they wanted to come, some leaders, some people, they wanted an invitation, I was thankful to the German community for saying what? No. We are seeing a vision ahead of us. We are realizing it. When war befalls a country, I come from warrior roots, and so when war befalls a country, and the horn for war is blown, every real man just goes to his house and takes down his gun and starts cleaning. You can never knock a warrior from bed and say, what are you still doing in bed? Those are words they use for people they want to take to church or to a political party. You do not invite people to a freedom movement. No. When they see the direction of freedom, they run there. You cannot invite people. You need to say that if you invited this and that, then they will come. What would we do? If you invite somebody, then you start worrying. What's he going to eat? What does he drink? You now get into those political things that help nobody. And then some will go back complaining that, went to that place, we were there the whole night hungry, I almost died. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. We are here in recognition of the fact that our country, Ambazonia, needs us. And we should be looking at it that way. Now, before I come to an ultimate question that I need to ask all Ambazonians, I will need to remind, especially the elite class of the Ambazonian nation, that they have been too passive. The elite class has been too passive. The discussions are on Facebook and on fora, on WhatsApp. You cannot liberate the country that way. You cannot. Stop those things. Let's begin the process of liberation. If you believe it. If you do not, leave us alone who believe in it. We will take it for you. We will go and get the free country for you. We cannot get a free country by screaming and kicking out at everybody, as I've seen. We cannot get a free country by complaining. You cannot get a free country by blaming other people. Oh, the US has not done this. The Germans, they have not said something. The ones, let me tell you, Ambazonia, the job of liberation is a DIY. I saw it in England. Do it yourself. If you are waiting for your neighbors, you will drown. So let's stop blaming people. We cannot have a free country through conferences. There's no way. Call 1,000 conferences. It cannot take you 10 millimeters towards freedom. I can guarantee you this. Form the 1,000th government. It will never work. The road to freedom is different from all the things we have been trying to do, all the things we have been pretending to be doing. Those are the facts. We've been pretending. We've been self-deceiving. There is an issue there. When I got out here, the whole rush was, oh, Honorable, we want to give you an interview. We want you on this. There is this platform. And I told them, I'm not doing this kind of business. What is this about? Those are things that are done by politicians who are hoping to play the next trick and get people doing something for them. I am the guy who does things for people and for my country. And I owe nobody an explanation what I choose to do. I want to ask all of those who were sending me advice from home, oh, come and call for unity. Try so that these people should come together. No matter how hard you try, there's something you need to remember. Politicians do not unite. Never. If you heard that the CPDM agreed with the SDF to do a certain thing, it is to hunt for the head of a liberator. They can only come together when there is what? A threat to their political setup. And that threat is usually someone who says, go to hell with this. The road is the other way. It is people like me. It is people like you who are believers. So my advice is, if we need to take this to the ultimate end, we need to do it differently. Now, I want to explain to you a simple reason why I became not the first, the lead person who told us that the formation of something called a government will ruin this struggle. I said it. I was still back at home. Mofo is my witness. Because this courageous young man, when the debacle after I got to Nigeria happened, he flew home to come and see me in my village to say, if you do this for us, and I don't come to thank you myself, then I'm deceiving myself. Then I took time to tell him, you see, this is where this thing is going to be going. I'm hearing these echoes about governments and this and that. If you do something called government, once you add the word G-O-V to anything, you have pronounced corruption. You have brought in adventurers. Because a liberation struggle recruits fighters, warriors, brave men and women who can stand and die. Governments recruit administrators, ambitious people, people who want something for themselves, people who want to use the people to get something, not people who want to use themselves to give the people something. That is why I denied it from day one. A lot of people are going to be very disappointed with me. Why? Because they think that freedom is an easy thing. And that is why I have been saying, the reason you choose to be forming governments in the diaspora, and those governments that have ruined our struggle, the reason you choose to do it was because it was the easy thing to do. It was very easy. Call your friends together like we are sitting here. We can sit here like this and go out with 10 governments. Is there something that stops us? Or you are already a minister, call this man, Willie. You are the Minister of Culture. And people clap. It is the easy thing to do. David reminded you people that I said, if you defy science and nature, that you can begin building this house from the roof. You are a liar. You are a cheat. You are a fraud. Because houses are built from where? From the foundation up. And I am here today to remind you and to get us to start getting ready to set the foundation for Ambazonian freedom. Now, by forming governments, you invite the wrong people. And one of the things that oppression does to a nation is that when the oppressive system, it reduces you to nothing. It deprives you of everything to make you subservient to itself. And when you begin to buy those ideas, you start sometimes behaving like what? Like them. Paul Biya has been in power for almost 40 years. He has already formed more than 50 governments. Cameroon is only going backwards. Then the people he oppressed, if I'm not mistaken, have you people formed, is it 5 or 6 or how many? The struggle is going only backwards. And then you think, because why I denied the concept of government was because you will start imitating your oppressor. And that is the wrong thing to do. You do not imitate the man who is killing you. You do not imitate him. Now, the next reason I denied it was because you are in the Western world. Every government has an opposition. Every government takes money from who? From citizens. So it shocked me that you people in the diaspora are so learned. Your own government takes money and you are saying that it has taken it, you don't know where it went. The one they take from you here, do they come and tell you where they go and spend it? Does the government come to you and say, your tax this year was 100,000. We put 50 on the road in Boku. we put 25 in this, in one of these cities I used to remember very, very well because I love the footballer there. Leipzig? Yes. Because I used to be, no, Leipzig. I used to be a supporter of Lokomotiv Leipzig. So now, if we were to sit down here and be looking only at the cheaper things, those are cheap things. Freedom doesn't come that way. No. That's the reason I was denying it, because you will recruit the wrong people. I've been giving this example. When an airplane lands, it taxis to where the passengers drop off. Are we aware of that? When it is about to take off, it taxis to where it will prepare for takeoff. Can it therefore mean that if you were desperate to fly a plane, you look for the best taxi driver in your city? Can the two go? The taxi driver drives a taxi, so he's taxiing it every day. Does it mean he can now taxi a plane and take it off? There are two things that will happen. Either he will be unable to take it off and the passengers should thank God he didn't take off, or he will take you off and then do what? Crash. We need to be realistic in what we are doing. We need to be conscious of the effort we need to put up in order to get what? Freedom. Freedom comes at a price. And sometimes that price is how you think. Following the concept of building the house from the roof. I told you in London that the fighting that has started in the government circle was because the weight of the roof was now coming down on them. And they were trying to dig the foundation with their feet. It doesn't work. The only thing you do in that situation is throw it off so that you can breathe free air. Start building a foundation. Without the foundation, it will not work. The basis of every liberation movement, the countries in the Southern African region that I have personally visited, some over 20 years ago, just to ask questions. Zambia, South Africa, Namibia, Kenya, people who had fought, you have to learn the things they did and improve on them. Ambazonia cannot reinvent the wheel. It is not possible. We cannot create a new way of doing freedom. It is not possible. Except you have accepted that we are a failed and attempted people who wanted freedom, and we are ready to go back and lament and let La République walk all over our land and do what they want with us, or we should get serious, sit up, and begin the liberation struggle in earnest. Before I come to ask you the toughest question that Ambazonians have ever been called to respond to, I would like to make one last comment. That my opposition to government was partly because I told them that when you form something called a government, all the people internationally who could sympathize with your movement, they run away from you. Why? Because they have diplomatic relations with the oppressor. So if you start by imitating that oppressor, you send away all your friends. So you have nobody who can sympathize with you. You have nobody who can listen to your story. Go around shouting and create governments and do all the things you did until you move in the right corridors and talk to the right people who will listen and say, okay, I didn't know this. We need to call the other people to say, this is more serious than we thought. And all of these things are done where? In the back room. In the back room. I've told you about numerous meetings in the Commons. I have a whole long list of MPs and members of the House of Lords I'm sitting with. You never mention their names. You never talk about it. Because you are winning them to your side of the story. If I were following your drift, as soon as I finished one meeting from 2 years ago, oh, I was with Minister X, we had a drink in the House of Commons, and I'm now telling you that very soon Ambazonia will be free. I'm a liar if I tell you that. I'm a liar. That's not how it works. That's not how it works. So we will have to learn discretion. And the last thing that happened when these governmental things are created was I did a bit of psychology as a school teacher. And I learned something about group loyalties. They are the most dangerous things you can face, especially in a struggle. Loyalty is a dangerous thing because nobody wants to look stupid. No human being wants to look like an idiot. Therefore, my opposition to the government was when you start and an opposition forms, and if something happens to that government, then we are going to have broken camps and people running in different directions and saying different things. So I advise, don't do it. Because the narrow group mentality is the most dangerous thing. Now, to tell you another truth. For all the people who have formed any kind of group in the diaspora, every government you have formed, I challenge you with this. Do you realize that the loyalty you demand to each group leader, the loyalty you demand to each group is now over and above the loyalty to the Ambazonian flag and the anthem? It's over. So how can you get freedom with that? How can you get freedom with that? People are now more loyal to their political parties they created on the internet than to the Ambazonian flag and the cause. You are now more loyal to them. Oh no, if you talk against this, you are our enemy. He is the only one. And I swear, oh my God, this is how low we've fallen. We're in the gutter. We are in the gutter. If believers don't rise up from this moment and move in the direction and teach everyone else that it is belief that can free us, I will put you to shame. Because when you will hear that they have cut my head, at least I will rest in peace because I died believing and trying to get a free country for my people. Then the same people paying loyalties to their internet governments and all, they turn around and they are saying, oh, you know, back home, the political parties are not doing this. The CPDM, people are, you know, running after the CPDM because of money. Yours are running after you because of what? How different are you? How different are you? You are just like them. You are just like them. Any person who calls himself a leader and demands loyalty to himself and his group and not to the flag and not to the star of that destination of freedom is a liar. He's a cheat. He's a liar. The Ambazonian nation is so big. The project is so huge. It is bigger than all of us put together. How can a little group, how can we have a forest that is Ambazonia? And people create groups and choose a single tree because the tree is very big. They are sitting under and saying, anybody who wants liberation, if they don't enter into this fence around this tree, they will never get there. You are fooling yourself. It's a lie. The hard work of liberation is not done that way. It is not done that way. Have you ever known, ladies and gentlemen, that in human history, You have had men and women who have stood up alone for the truth in their nations. And the whole nation stood up against them. And it ended up that that one woman or that one man was right and the whole nation was wrong. Have you ever known that? I stand with the truth about the liberation of my homeland. If I have to stand there alone, I don't mind. It's my choice. It's my choice. It is my choice. And by the time I make that choice, and 2 other people come up and say, we make that choice. 10 others come in. We make that choice for freedom. Then the handful of liberators will free their country for the cowards who choose the easy road. The narrow group mentality is the most dangerous thing we have as we speak. Because I am telling you, I have children, my own children, relatives, in the struggle, who have now been shared between your internet leaders all over, and some, they cannot call me, No, Daddy, how can you, a government cannot be like this, and we are seeing that it's taking us there, and you are saying that. I said, sorry, Mama, sorry. I pity you, because as you are marching along, are you checking your steps? Are you counting your steps forward? Because if you are counting them, you would realize that where we were when we began, we have regressed 100 miles backwards. The hard way is the only way. There are no 2 ways to freedom in any nation. There is only one way, and that one way is that hard way. Either we are ready for it, or we give it up. By we, thank you. By we, I mean you and me who believe. By we, I mean those who can go the extra mile to deliver what they want and to get what they desire. If you do not know something, can't you learn? Why do we go to school? Can't you learn? And I've been asking the question to my brother sitting over there, Dr. Njibamo and Jerima. I've been asking, what has been the use of this huge education we have all acquired abroad? That we cannot sit and look at the simple practical things and say, no, this doesn't seem to be working. Let's change it and go to this direction. We have attempted this. And we go around running in circles. Oh, the right government is now this one. Okay, let's agree, according to some of them, that the government was the right vehicle. Now you have 5. Which one should we follow? No, to be honest, which one? So we'll now be choosing, okay, the other man is very tall. He looks like my father, so I go with him, right? Where would we end? Where would we end?